Podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Daren Windle.
What is up, you fish freaks? Welcome to episode number 133 of the KFO show, Kayak Fishing Obsessed. And you guessed it, tonight's show is going to be an absolute banger. We've got Sam and Corbin from Science of the Strike in the house, breaking down real scientific research on how bass actually see, react, and decide to strike. No guesses, no doc talk, just straight up facts that can help you catch more fish. And I'm telling you right now, once you hear this, you're not going to look at your lures the same way again. And before we get rolling, this episode is brought to you by Kayak Fishing Advanced Safety Training, because the best anglers aren't the ones catching fish, they're the ones making it home safely. And KFAST is going to give you that real world training on everything from gear and weather to self-rescue and risk management, so you can fish smarter and safer every time you hit the water. So check it out at kfast.co and get certified today. Big special shout out to Andrew Blair, became a channel member this past week, actually on the live when I was down in Lake Gunnersville. So I appreciate you, brother. Wyatt, how's it going, brother?
Doing all right, man. I'm glad I escaped Knoxville before you brought the snow in there.
Oh my gosh, I brought Snowmageddon. My goodness. So Wyatt and I were hanging out down at the Bassmaster Classic this past week. We've met before, but didn't like know each other like we know each other now. It's like
across the room.
Host. And so
that guy, I know that guy.
Everyone knows Wyatt, because he's the one that gets up after a tournament and takes your trophy and your money home with him. So that's how I knew him before he hopped on to the podcast. But what'd you think about the show?
It was pretty awesome. I'd say just the fact like they slam packed that entire Coliseum full of everything fishing you could ever possibly imagine. I mean, just going like even the little meeting rooms off to the side. I remember when last time I went years ago, the little meeting rooms were separate, like they were closed off for special events and things. But even the little meeting rooms had people slam packed in there.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah. So we'll talk about that some more, but if you've never been to the Bassmaster Classic, it was my first time, and there's like 150,000 people. However, keep in mind, every time you walk in and out of the door, they click you and they like double, triple, quadruple count you because you're walking in and out of all these different places. So it's not like, I don't think there's actually 150,000 people there, maybe 120,000 people there because they're double, quadruple counting, but
there's a lot.
It's it was good. It was fascinating. All right. We'll have to circle back. Maybe next week we'll talk a little bit about, because I got the guys in the green room. So let's go ahead and bring them out from Science of the Strike. We got Sam and we got Corbin.
Oh,
welcome to the show, brother.
What's going on, you guys? How are you? Thanks for having us on.
Absolutely.
Heck yeah. We're doing good. We're doing good. I actually I woke up at 4 a.m. this morning and drove from Lake Gunnersville.
I'm having a hard time hearing Windle here. I can hear Wyatt.
No, we're losing
him.
I can hear Wyatt, and I can hear Sam. Just can't hear Windle. Sam, you might have to.
Yeah, I got it.
Run things for the moment. I'm still trying to troubleshoot, but we'll keep going.
Perfect.
Let me try something.
Yep.
How about now? Check. Anything different?
Still a little. Still a little pixely.
Well.
Get there. I can hear you.
We'll
can hear you. It's fine. It's the video is a little pixely.
Wyatt and Sam, can you hear me?
Yeah, we'll give it a second.
Okay, I can hear both of you just fine. I can kind of see Windle, but I can't hear Windle at all.
All right.
It's so weird. I'm sorry, everyone listening in. I thought we had these. Well, I'm hosting, so if I get out, the whole thing's over. So that's the issue. Let's try.
We're good. We can just run it. I mean, we can relay everything we need to relay as
Yeah.
as needed. And
Yeah, how about you guys go and I'm going to try to figure this out. And can you hear me, Sam?
yeah, I got you good, so I can hear everything.
All right. So for people just discovering the science of the strike, right? Who are you guys? What made you start digging into the bass fishing through a scientific lens? And then I'm going to go try to figure out my audio.
Yeah. So
Wyatt, give me a thumbs up.
Science of the Strike really started, Corbin and I's just love for, bass fishing initially. We started out of Corbin's garage, just like, hey, let's record a few videos and see where things take us. Like we both have, educational degrees. I'm a dentist and he's a lawyer. So we both have done some higher education. So we're like, we know how to research and do the, read the studies and digest those, as well as most people. So we're like, why don't we try to look into see what the science has to offer? Because we just felt, over time, there's so much being sold in the industry that's, not helping us. And it's only, costing us money and, not, aiding us in catching any more fish in the end. It just feels like it's hurting your wallet, and both of us were in college and didn't have, much money at all at the time. We're like, let's try to figure out what actually matters and let's focus on that as hard as we can. And it's kind of just grown over time. So yeah, and Corbin, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just think like so much of while we were fishing, and I don't think this is necessarily a unique experience. We would have these moments where we would go, okay, why this, why that? Why is this bait getting more bites than this? Why is this thing working better than this? Why? We know that we should be fishing in this area. We know that we should be throwing maybe some type of bait like this, but why? And that I think was kind of what started it all off, and realizing that in order to understand that why, we had to take a scientific approach to it. And so that was kind of what originally inspired things. But like Sam said, it just kind of took off from there, which we did not expect, but we've been super grateful for. We've had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Am I back at all?
All right. So I think we're losing audio wise. We're kind of drifting in and out. So let's see. Want me to run through it?
Yeah, you take it over, Wyatt.
All right. So let's see. I've got a handful of things. So I know you talked about like all the stuff that us as anglers deal with on the like, everybody out there pitching with this works, that works, things like that. And I always remember back to like the Cajun red line and red hooks on crankbaits.
Yeah.
Because the guys were selling Cajun red line because it disappears under the water. Fish can't see it. At the same time, we're selling red crankbait hooks because it attracts the fish and it makes them bite it. And I'm like, you can't be selling both of these things at the same time.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's very true.
It disappears. So like,
yeah, no,
so what all studies did y'all run through? And
totally agree. And the thing that I don't even think that you have to be a very like experienced fisherman to like walk through the aisles of most tackle stores and realize like, okay, obviously, as with any industry, money is behind this, right? Like, and that's just how it is. And so these companies are obviously more concerned with, making money than they are necessarily catching fish. Catching fish is a plus to that. Yeah. And so that's why, I think that companies are understandably willing to advance notions that aren't supported by science whatsoever. And I think that, as the just debilitating tackle addicts that Sam and I are, we kind of wanted to figure out, do we really need this color? This shade of whatever, does it really matter? Why are there 10 shades of this color on a single peg, and the science
Yamamoto is the worst with it you have large black flake, you have small black flake, you have one with
exactly
flakes, you have one with 48 flakes.
Yeah.
That's the exact type of stuff that I think a lot of the science that we've looked at really kind of debunks. And if you knew Sam and I before this, our fishing from then to now has really streamlined in terms of tackle. I mean, we've taken a lot of stuff out of the boat in terms of just, we don't need this different variations of colors or whatever of this same bait, right? It's really made us more efficient, I would say, on the water.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we looked at a bunch of studies. You know, some of the first few studies that I looked at, because the way Corbin and I break up the podcast is he teaches me and I teach him, you know, based off of the research that we learn. So Corbin knows more about, you know, a little bit of the scent side now. I know it now, but as we're going through the podcast, you know, he's teaching me about that. And I taught a lot about taste. And, you know, it just worked out that way with me being a dentist and going through school and learning all about the mouth and correlating that over and all of that. But it was truly insane. You know, one of the studies that I read was all about the taste buds in a fish's mouth.
This is wild.
And, you know, all about, you know, the teeth, that the small little teeth that they have, you know, behind their tongue, around their pharyngeal areas, you know, and their gill areas and everything like that. And around, you know, each tooth is like 4 taste buds. And you know that their teeth are so small. So that many taste buds, you know, co-localized around where they crush up their food has to say something about their ability to taste, right? So they can definitely taste. They've ran, you know, multiple studies looking at how the brain reacts to different tastes. And I'll talk a little bit about that later. But the first one that the research article that I really looked into was all about them giving bass food balls and taking certain extracts out of these food balls and seeing how it affects, right? So they had a very, you know, solid control system to where they gave them a food ball that didn't let the bass respond to anything. Basically, it was very neutral. And so they would pick it up and they'd spit it out. But then they learned that, you know, once the content, you know, got in there, you know, with shrimp, you know, ebby, you know, particles that they ground up from shrimp, that a lot of these bass would hold on to this for much, much longer and then actually swallow the food ball, where most of the times they would spit it out if it didn't have any taste to it.
You think that's the reason, like, why Kitech went so heavy with shrimp, even though they make freshwater lure?
100%.
Exactly
100%.
right.
That's why everything smells like shrimp.
Exactly, because there's studies that actually back that shrimp makes that big of a difference. Now, you know, you can probably make it smell like shrimp and it not have the shrimp particles in it, right? Like they can anything nowadays. But the most important thing, I know Corbin's going to talk a little bit about this, is what it's made of. Those fish can actively taste what it's made of, and that makes a huge difference. Scent, you know, less, they can't smell exactly what it's made of, but once it gets on those taste buds, that determines if they're holding it in there or if they're spitting it out. And the study that I researched is like, you got 3 seconds for them to spit out that food ball. You know, Corbin did some research where it was actually less time than that. So it's very quick. They know immediately. So the baits you're throwing, if they don't taste right, let alone smell right or look right, like, you're not getting bit and they're not holding on. So that's how it's really helped, you know, a lot with us streamlining things.
So I had a couple questions so far. I got one. So have you done any research into the Nori's bite powder? And I know I've got another question there from Bass AF about power bait and things like that. And I've got a little bit of, like, I've done some research on that as well. So we can talk about that in just a second.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. So the first thing that I'll say is that all of these companies, whether it's Nori's or Berkeley or Bait Fuel or whatever,
Bait Pop,
it's all proprietary trade secret ingredient, you know, formulas. Like they're not publishing all of the nitty gritty of what's exactly in it. Now they, you know, will advertise
to you a vague idea.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, oh, it's got, you know, amino acids. Now, Sam talked about this a little bit through our studies. One of the most important things as it relates to both taste and smell, as you know, for formulas, is the presence of amino acids. And so it's possible for companies to inject amino acids into scent compounds. And a great example of that is Nori's. Nori's has presence of amino acids and has that paired with that shrimp extract, which has been scientifically proven to be an attractant and that will cause them to hold on and to actually ingest the bait. I mean, obviously,
all those things cost.
There's a lot of difference between humans and bass, of course. But like, you know, imagine if you were to, you know, if you take a bite of something and it's got, you know, gasoline on it, or it's got sunscreen on it from your hands, or if it's got motor, grease or something like that, you're tasting that like right away, right? And so I'm not, necessarily saying that bass, equate in intelligence and in learned capacity as humans, but Sam and I have discovered through all of the episodes that we've done that people do not give enough credit to largemouth bass and their intelligence and their ability to learn and remember and understand.
That's very true.
And so when you start, thinking of it that way and giving more credence to a fish's ability to understand something, then you really start toying around with, well, okay, I really do want to get particular about the formula and stuff like that. So to answer the question about Nori's bite powder, yes, we've fished a lot with Nori's bite powder, and we still fish with it a bunch for that exact reason. One of the other probably the most important thing as it relates to scent and taste, that is, both, in my opinion, probably the most misunderstood concept is solubility. We used to fish for years and years and years and years and years and years. We used to fish with, I'm not going to name any brands, but aerosol, sprays.
Crawfish
because
spray.
They're convenient.
Exactly.
Know exactly what you're talking about.
And the problem with that is that they are oil based. Now, if you drop a drop of oil or cooking oil or gasoline on the top of the water, exactly right. It's going to disperse out. And the reason for that is because the oil molecules cannot commingle with the water molecules. They want to separate.
Hence solubility.
It's not soluble. So when you're looking for a good scent profile, you want to find something that is water soluble. A number of studies that we looked at talk about how one actually authored by a guy named Steve Quinn and Dr. Keith Jones, who were scientists at Berkeley Fishing Labs, wrote a report talking about how they can detect, largemouth bass can detect just a few ounces of water-soluble amino acid mixed into 6,000 gallons of water. Right. Really? So that their sensitivity is actually very, very high, but it demands that the scent that you're using is water soluble. Right. Great example is going to be bait pop, bait fuel, Berkeley, Gulp. That type of stuff is all water soluble. Now, to keep going even further down the rabbit hole, we're not saying that there is no place in your arsenal for oil derived scents. What we discovered is that if you are concerned that your scent is being impressed onto the bait, let's say that you got some type of oil on your hand, or maybe just after you ate lunch, or you're a guy that wears sunscreen or whatever. What's interesting about the oil stuff is that you can use it to conceal scent that might be negative, right? Because it masks and will encapsulate that bait. It's more of a defense rather than an offense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because at the nitty gritty, fish can't taste the oil.
Right. They just can't.
It's pure science, like their ability. Like they can't taste the oils, but it can prevent them from tasting scents that you may put off. Or the boat.
They just recognize it.
Right.
And I know you mentioned Berkeley. Like I don't know if people understand like how much research Berkeley has done in all of this. It's one of the things I love about them is they have entire research labs dedicated just to running baits in front of bass. Like they think they have a big round tank that just runs lures in front of bass, and they research everything that they do.
Yeah, they actually have put out a lot of research, and Dr. Keith Jones there, has put out some pretty good stuff. Now, we try to be careful, because we know that he's tied to their profitability and,
slightly biased, but
so
like, boys, I'm going to reload this real quick. I lost audio on Wyatt now, so I'm just going to reload. I'm going to just reload it and be right back in and out.
Okay, cool. All right, Wyatt, we're holding.
You and I are running this.
Let's go.
So like how are you using your background running? I know you were the dentist. How you talked about running your research. Let's see. Are you back?
Yeah. I'm back. I got you now.
How are you using that to kind of break down all of this?
I have a background in biology. Like that's my undergrad degree. So I have spent a lot of time looking at research in just the field of, nature in general. So like I have a good idea of what a good research paper looks like. And Corbin and I have really dove into trying to bring to light the best research papers, because there's a lot out there that are not good. And there's a lot of articles out there that are purely just trying to sell you, right? Like you have to look into the people, you have to look into if they're, peer reviewed. Like we're trying to give you guys the best information out there. Sometimes there's not enough information. And Corbin and I have ran into that a couple of times, like looking at, articles, trying to bring different stuff to the table. I think we got 21 episodes right now, and it's all very scientific. Like if you just go look at our stuff, like we put in research for each one of these, and it's tough. Like we're both full-time working, we're trying to put in hours of research before we bring you guys an hour of podcast. But
I was just telling Daren, like, it's a shame. Like I went and subscribed. Like y'all should have 20,000 subscribers right now from how much y'all are putting out.
I mean, we just started, not too long ago. So, I mean, we've got a pretty fast growing base. And I mean, people understand, like, we're not here to sell you anything. Like, we're literally just trying to bring you what you should be buying.
The goal for you guys is just as much information out there as possible.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just trying to correct the fishing world as much as we can.
Understanding the why. I want to add something to what Sam just said that I think is a very important understanding for the work that we do. When he says articles, and Sam hinted at this a little bit, I think in the 21 episodes that we've done, we have used maybe one or two, just wired to fish articles. When we say the word articles, we are talking, like he said, about
papers,
published, peer-reviewed scientific journals, oftentimes master theses, stuff that are done in labs. These are not of course there's a time and place for like bassresource.com, right? That's not where we're getting our info. Like we only bring forth those sources that we know are legitimate scientific resources rather than opinion based, right? They have to be
doing the work
peer
of
reviewed.
Reading pages and pages and pages and pages and pages.
Exactly.
Yeah. We got a couple of those master theses that are like 300, 400 pages long. And it's just just last week we posted we did the episode part 1 on the spawn. So a lot of the really interesting research that we get comes out of China, right? Because China harvests largemouth bass for to eat. And so we had a study the other day that the whole thing was in Chinese. And so the whole study, other than the title and the abstract. And so I had to put it into Google and translate the whole thing.
Hope that it comes out, relatively close.
It worked great. It worked great. And it was a super interesting study. So
that's pretty awesome. So have you seen, like, I don't want to call anybody out, but like, have you seen one where it's like where somebody's, there's a market, the guys are telling you like, this works, this is fantastic, and you're just like, man, not exactly.
All the time.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes.
Yeah, we post stuff all the time.
I mean, scent and color are the two main misconceptions that you're going to see most people mess up more than anything. And it's pretty interesting stuff. The scent, the biggest thing is all the oil scents, and everyone's like, dude, you gotta spray this on there, it works like a charm. I'm like, you keep using that. Especially if I'm fishing against you.
I'll be over here with my bait fuel. Don't worry.
That's right. Yeah, seriously though.
All the time, all different topics. We get people in our comments all the time, which we love. We love it when people engage with it, whether just agree or disagree.
Further and farther and farther, give you more stuff to look up.
Right.
So I'll say we got one right there. So do you think there's enough research for bass fishing?
I mean, you'd be surprised that there's research articles coming out fairly regularly out of China though. It's not out of the US. We need, more centered around. There's a lot, everything could use more research, in our minds. I think, me and Corbin had the thought we might run out of topics to talk about in depth at the level that we want to try to be at, but we have yet to find that. There is a lot of research out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. We also do a lot of not only do we have a bunch of mini series that is also expanding, all that we're doing. So we do research not only on largemouth, but we do it on prey. So we've done in-depth research on crawfish, shad, bluegill, crappie, frogs, so we've got all that stuff. And then we've also got our mini series on pros versus, experience versus the science is what we call it. Now, a little insider knowledge that first time anybody is ever going to be hearing this. We haven't done it yet, but we're thinking about adding another mini series to the show, which would be a little deviation from the biology standpoint and actually break down certain pieces of tackle on a scientific level, like scientifically breaking down the differences between monofilament, fluorocarbon, copolymer, because people just don't understand them. Scientifically breaking down the difference between fiberglass, graphite, composite, stuff like that, just so those could be more understood. But we're not there yet.
Like the actual graphite and the scrim that they use, because one like you can use the same graphite, but if you use the different epoxy to bind it all together, you're going to get an entirely different rod. That's a whole rabbit hole.
Right.
So I know I watched one with we lost Corbin.
Yeah.
I know I watched the one with Drew Gill, and he was you're back.
I'm back. When Wendell came in, I lost Wyatt, and so I reloaded, and I can hear Wyatt now.
So I can hop out, and Daren can ask some questions.
Put them on the screen, Daren.
I feel like, can you guys hear me at all? I feel like I'm the problem
I can
here.
hear you.
Now we can hear you now.
I can
I'm
hear
back?
you through audio.
I got your audio now for the first time.
Yep, you look frozen on mine.
All right.
We can hear you.
I can hear you now for the first time.
I'm literally running out in the snow on my bare feet trying to get my satellite.
It's the meteor that hit
snowing
Ohio.
outside.
It's the
meteor.
that hit Ohio.
That's what it was.
On the internet.
Nice.
Oh my gosh. Well, at least you can hear me. Who cares if you can see me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. I can hear you at least.
Fascinating. 28 minutes into my own show. I really don't know what's been talked about. So got a lot of comments. So that's great.
Well, we've got.
We got a lot of
keep
questions.
Keep on, keep it on. I don't know where we're at. I want to ask
to answer.
Question.
I mean, on the side, I've seen them pop
stuff.
up here. Look, good questions.
So I had the rabbit hole question with Drew Gill. I was watching earlier how fish can't actually hear live sonar.
Yeah.
And in my brain, I was convinced they can hear it, but it's actually, thinking about it, it's the pressure of the boat pushing in the water. They can feel the pressure getting close to them.
Yeah. It's actually wild. So many things are misunderstood again. That's another one.
Yeah, the frequencies at which bass can hear are
infinite.
They're infinitely way outside of
0 to 100 hertz.
Yeah,
sonar's in kilohertz. It's not even close.
way out there.
Yeah.
They can't hear it. They can't feel it. What they're hearing is they're hearing waves bouncing off your boat. They're hearing your trolling motor. They're hearing you stomping around on your boat. That's what they're hearing, not your sonar ping.
Wow.
Science just isn't there on that one.
That was an awesome one. If anybody wants to go back and watch that one, that was with Drew Gill. So let's see. We'll run through a couple questions. Yeah, let's say for how old is he? How old is he?
Is that 20 something?
I think he's younger than us.
And he's,
yeah.
We feel bad. All right. So what do we got? Does the amount of time that you soak a bait in scent matter, or just kind of splashing it?
Great question, and we dove into this.
Yeah, we tried.
We did our own experiment with 15 different company baits, and we soaked them in food coloring, and then tested them and did time-lapse videos to see about the dispersion, because what you're testing, right? What you're testing here,
you drop in the water and you watch the food color.
Well,
that's you've seen on Berkeley's videos, or whatever, right?
It's exactly right. But here is the problem that nobody understands, and that people refuse to look into the science. What is a soft plastic, with the exception to the outliers like Berkeley or Zero Trace? What are those baits made out of? At its core, they're made out of petroleum. They're made out of plastic, right? Guess what's not water soluble? Petroleum and plastic.
Yeah.
And so the problem is that you can soak a yum dinger until the cows come home with whatever you want, and it won't absorb it because it is impermeable, right? You cannot have water soaked up into, because if you're using a water soluble scent like Nori's EBI or something like that, or Gulp like we've tried, it won't pull in. Now Here's another misconception. And we talked to someone very recently about this. We actually were on a different show last week, and there was some misconception about this. Let's say that you end up throwing like a Yamamoto Senko into your lake or into your scent or whatever. People will notice, oh, well, hey, the bait's swelling up. It must be absorbing that water. That is not true. The reason that a bait like that is swelling up is because it is impregnated with salt.
Yep.
And that is the issue. And so when you're wanting to find a bait that actually is worth soaking, you want to find something that is water permeable, that can take on water. And the only two people who we know currently that do that are Berkeley with their MaxScent stuff and Zero Trace. And we've got a partnership working on with Zero Trace, completely water soluble, biodegradable stuff. And so those are worth soaking. Everything else, no reason. Matter. It doesn't matter. There's no reason.
And I think I already know the question. The Elastec stuff just doesn't soak up anything.
Nothing.
Okay.
It doesn't.
But that's not saying that you can't put scent on them.
Yeah,
and that's not saying that scent won't last on them. You know, like we've found, preference if we're going to use PVC style baits to look for ones with maybe a little more ribs, something that has a little bit more retention value to holding on bait fuel, bait pop, nori's, whatever we're using.
Things like the D bombs with a whole bunch of little just cavities.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Like the licorice that they have on there does not work. But the things that you can,
it tastes fantastic.
but the scents that you can add to that can make a difference.
Like I got my Outcast jig here with a trailer on it. See these like ribs that are coming off of this Yamamoto? Those are what we have determined are the best for scent. We've tested this with food coloring and all different kinds of stuff. When we throw trailers, we're looking for something with some type of rib to grab onto that. Or for the scent to grab onto. And that's a perfect example of exactly what Sam's talking about.
Wow.
So, gents, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you and see.
And you look better.
All I gotta do is not connect to the Wi-Fi and just go cellular. So awesome. Daren, welcome to the show. Your show.
We have a special guest on today.
Yeah, I know, right? That's why I love having Wyatt around. This show would be dead if it wasn't for him right now. So I'm actually listening, while I'm trying to do everything else. But you mentioned this a little bit. I love your scientific approach because one of you is an attorney and the other is a dentist. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you guys get into this stuff, you nerd out, and I was so jacked about it, which I'm kind of bummed I missed the first 35 minutes of it. But you, in your video on your first video you ever did, and now you have 22 out, which was awesome. You talked about some studies about color.
Yeah.
Can we go down that line a little bit? Because I did a video on it and I was really surprised to hear my name at the beginning of that first video because you did your research and you came across the video I did 2 years ago.
Yep.
But walk us through that old study, the studies that you found when it comes to red, when it comes to blue, and the colors that bass see.
Yeah. So really interesting stuff. There are a number of studies, and like you said, there are a number of guys who have made great videos on it as well. The two primary studies that we looked at as it relates to not only the behavioral responses as it relates to color, but also observing the largemouth bass's eye on an anatomical level. The first is called Response of the Largemouth Black Bass to Color. That was published by a guy named Frank A. Brown, older study. That's from 1937. And then, of course, kind of the big ticket study that's very popular in the industry is called Seeing Red, Color Vision in Largemouth Bass. That was published came out of the Department of Animal Biology and School of Integrative Biology and University of Illinois. And that study is just an incredible study for anybody who wants to just go read some mind-blowing science about the eye. And what they did is they broke it down into two very important parts. They broke it down into the anatomy and they broke it down into the behavior. And I think that so many people skip over that first part, the anatomy. And so when you don't understand the why behind things, I think that inhibits your ability to apply a lot of the science to your fishing. On an anatomical level, this study observed that largemouth bass have what's called dichromatic vision. So humans, we have what's called trichromatic vision. So what that means is that we are capable of seeing 3 spectrums of colors. We can see a red spectrum, we can see a green spectrum, and we can see a blue spectrum. And the way that those colors overlap with one another enable us to see the variety of colors that we do. Largemouth bass can only see 2 of those spectrums. They can see red and they can see green. They do not have the blue rods and cones in their eyes that enable them to see blue, at least as we can see it. Now, this is a hot button topic that we run in with our comments a lot, because a lot of people will say, well, of course they can see blue. What are they seeing, right? And so the question,
I use a blue tip Senko at Okeechobee,
exactly.
and it works every time.
Exactly right. So the question that you have to
cover my
answer
ears for this with my blue Firetail Senko.
Well, there you go. Yeah. When the question becomes is, you know, like I've got a blue Sharpie here. So I got this blue Sharpie. So if I were to hold this in front of a bass, we're not saying, and the study is not saying that a bass just can't see this, that it's just invisible. So the question becomes, well, what are they seeing?
Yeah.
Right? As it compared to how humans see it, right? And there's a really great simulator that you can use for people who are visually impaired. So let's say your friend says, oh, well, I'm colorblind. I can't see, you know, whatever color. You can actually take a picture of, let's say, your living room and put it in these like simulators that simulate a variety of different color blindness, so you can see, oh, well, this is how my friend sees the world, right? There you go. Fantastic. Exactly right. And so there is a simulator called Tritanopia, and this is your video, exactly right, that you can put baits into that will demonstrate what fish see, or somewhat similar, what bass would see compared to what it does for humans. And so that really opens your eyes up into realizing really where these companies are trying to sell to catch fishermen and not fish. Now, to keep on going down the rabbit hole here, they then took those findings about the genetic makeup of their eye and put them into application, right? So what they did is they put these fish in a lab in a variety of different tanks, and they had cue cards, colored cue cards. They had a red one, a green one, a blue one, a black one, a chartreuse one, and a white one. So 6 colors. And they trained these fish to target specific color cards. But what they did is they used scent, right? They used these little scented pellets that was, hey, if you approach this color, we're going to give you a little bit of food, right? And they would quantify, you know, like, hey, if you get close enough, we're going to consider that to be a strike. And if you strike a given color card, we're going to reward you with food, right? But we're going to kind of aid these fish with scent to train them to do it. And when the fish were using olfactory cues, scent cues, they were able to discern and discriminate between colors at a pretty successful rate, between all 6 colors, right? Now, what becomes really interesting is when you take away the scent, right? The question becomes, can these fish truly be trained to understand and visually discern between 6 different colors? And the results were super interesting. Bass had a really hard time differentiating 4 different colors. They had a really hard time differentiating black and blue, almost 50-50%. They could not separate them. And they had a really hard time separating white and chartreuse, almost 50-50, couldn't separate them. But you want to know the 2 colors that they still, in the absence of any other cues, did a phenomenal job at separating? Red and green.
Yeah.
And so that showed us not only on an anatomical level, but also, on a biological level, that these fish are capable of making those decisions and discerning between those colors because their anatomy allows them to do so with such great effectiveness. Now, the last piece of this study, which I think is probably the most interesting, I don't know, fully haven't developed what it means, but I think it's still wildly interesting. So when we see colors, when we're looking at an object, when I'm looking at my Sharpie or whatever, the reason that I'm seeing this perceived as blue is because light is reflecting off of this object. and it is bouncing back into my eye, and my eye is relaying a message to my brain to tell me that this is blue. Okay. And there are certain values of light particles that are actually measurable numerically as to what different colors bounce back into the eye. So like my yellow can here is actually reflecting a different amount of photons back into my eye than the blue one is, right? And so what they did with these fish is they took away the 6 cards that were red, green, blue, black, white, and yellow. And they gave them 6 cards that were achromatic, right? So they were, in other words, they were scales of gray. So they had a white card on one end, a black card on one end. And then what they did is they matched the gray cards in between with the same like photon value as the cards that preceded it. So for example, they put out a red card, or they put out a gray card that matched the same light reflectivity value as the red card did. So it's gray to the human eye, but same light reflectivity value as the red card. And they were still able to differentiate them. Even at a thing of gray cards, they were able to discern the red and the green valued card based off of the light value that was bouncing off of it. Isn't that wild? I don't know why. That's total nerd out moment there. Sorry.
I mean, we watched.
I just think that's crazy.
Episode 7, we talked all about the brain, and we were just blown away by the optic tectum, that the bass have that, kind of run everything through the lens of their eye. And it is very well developed. Vision is their number one sense by far.
Really?
Yeah. And it's been pretty cool. So like talking about like that tritanopia stuff that Corbin was talking about, we'll take pictures of our boxes and put them in that tritanopia simulator to see exactly what bass are seeing. That's the number one way to just know, kind of have an idea right away. And like you were saying, that blue tip tail, it might not be exactly what you think it looks like, but that could be working. It could be the contrast. It could be a grayish look on the back of a blue bait that makes a difference, right? But it might not be what you thought it looked like, right? And that's Corbin and I's whole goal, is to understand why things are happening, why it looks like that. Because if that looks like black and gray, you may be able to extrapolate that into another bait, or say, something similar that has similar values, and use it that way.
So Sam and Corbin, real quick, I'm going to add this back to the stage, and I'm going to hit play on it. Yeah. So walk us through, obviously we're seeing it, but walk us through everything that we're seeing, like from the science point of view.
Yeah. So what you're seeing here is you're looking at 2 different baits. When you have that's the bait without any type of filter on it. When it says bass, you're looking at a filter that you've placed on it coming from that tritanopia simulator. Correct. And so what you can see is that certain colors come off very, very clearly. Like, for example, on that last one, you could see that a red was really popping on the eye of this S waver. You can see the eye coming off very well. But here's a great example, is like you're looking at on the left here, you've got a shade of white from the belly, and you've got a shade of chartreuse that then bleeds into a kind of bluish hued back. When you look at what the bass is seeing, there is hardly any separation between that white value and that chartreuse value, right? And so it goes back to the science, as bass have a very difficult time differentiating whites and yellows, or whites and chartreuse, and that's a perfect example of that. And you can, like I said, the red eye, the fact that is popping is another, supported by, same.
Or that red line. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. The same thing here. And see how these blues are looking very different, and how that red.
Blue tends to look a little more green there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And you can see that yellow on the back of that blue one, like completely white on the back of that bait. And that's what we tend to think yellow looks more like, or chartreuse looks more like white. I know it kind of looked pink on that other bait, but for example, like it looks more white there, maybe a little hint of pink. I'll tell you, pink is in the red color line. Pink is a great color to try to utilize. Like, I know people up around us in the Midwest that are fishing these deeper lakes. Pink is a common go-to color. And it's truly backed by the science, because that's part of the cones they can see.
Yeah. So go back to that jig one. That I think that is just such an important one. And this is something that, shameless plug for what we're designing with Outcast. When you look at a jig like this, you start to realize that there is no value in having a jig that has 8 different minute shades of green pumpkin. Yep. There is no point in that.
Yep.
What does matter is colors that bass can see paired with contrast. And so this is a great example of how, at the end of the day, that all just looks like the same thing, right?
So I know we've had a couple of questions. Does the glitter matter? Does the spec do the black specks and stuff like that, or should we just be using flat green pumpkin, flat black?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would probably lean towards saying that glitter does matter in that
reflectivity.
There's twofold. Yeah. There's reflectivity,
red and green glitter.
That is a color pop, and also it is just another way to contrast create a breakup right in the bait or whatever. But yeah, these are all great. And here's the thing, right? Is we're kind of working with 2 imperfect scientific results here. So on one hand, we've got this Tritanopia filter, which is a great starting place. Look at that. That's a great example. How the chartreuse
looks white.
Tail looks white. That is a fantastic example.
Which
but
is funny,
what about?
Because everybody swears by, you gotta have that chartreuse tip.
Of course,
you gotta paint that line down the bank. The crink. No, this is what it looks like.
It's exactly right.
I'll tell you though, you say paint that line though. What Corbin and I have gone to is not painting it chartreuse anymore. It's more of painting it red or a
black
or a black, or something that actually they could see that you can try to replicate something with.
Yep. Exactly right.
And like I was for days. I forgot I did this video such a long time ago. I'm like,
it's a great video. It's a great video.
Yeah, it's very informative.
It's a fantastic video. And here's the thing that I was saying too is we're working with 2 kind of imperfections here. I wish that I could, if I ever find a genie in a bottle, one of my wishes will be to be able to actually communicate with a bass, because we're sitting here looking at this Tritanopia filter, and why it is a great place to start, it isn't necessarily 100% dispositive of exactly what they're seeing. It's a good starting place to where they're seeing. But you pair the Tritanopia filter with the results of the scientific data, then you really start to understand, okay, whites and chartreuses, consider them, essentially the same. Blacks and blues, essentially, consider them essentially the same, right? And this filter is a good way of helping people understand the results of that data.
Yeah.
For those of you listening in on the podcast, you have to come watch the live so you can actually see what we're looking at. Because now we're rolling through live bait options here that
exactly right.
Different colors.
Now, I want to be super clear about something that Sam and I have stood firm on, and we will continue to do so. While we are always trying to advance the concept that people should be more willing to push the limits of their comfortability with color, being more bold with their color decisions, we do not want the listener to hear us say to abandon matching the hatch, because that's not what we're suggesting. There is sometimes value in that, right? There you go, zero threat. Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
The thing is for example, one of those pictures you had up there was of a crawfish, and a crawfish might have blue pinchers at a certain time of year.
Right.
When you throw a jig that has a trailer that is trying to imitate the blue pinchers of a crawdad, while a largemouth bass might not be seeing that blue trailer as we do, you're still resembling something that they're seeing in the wild, right? And so I don't want you to hear us say that you should just abandon match the hatch, because that's not what we're saying. But understanding the science behind it certainly will make you make different decisions, and it has affected us in that way for sure.
Yeah. So real quick, I got a question. I always stop the show when someone puts money up here on a super chat. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'll just read whatever they write as long as they put cash up. So Stinky River Tom here. As someone who works in chemistry, I believe it was John Prochnow who brought up and John Proctor, I believe, works for Berkeley, who brought up that scents that repel fish, food preservatives, etc. Should anglers focus more on the repelling scents? Any others we should avoid that have like a scientific studied, like, I know I've read it in Knowing Bass, right? There's some things that you absolutely do not want to be using.
Yeah, that is a good question. I feel like we looked into this a little bit when we did that episode. This is episode 2, so this was a while ago. Obviously, you want to avoid, sunscreen is a big one that you hear about. Anything that, gasoline and oil and stuff like that. The problem is that, and as we were talking a little bit earlier, is that you can kind of use oil-based scents, though, to mask human-based scents. So what we were telling Wyatt is, like, if you're a guy that uses sunscreen, or let's say you just finished eating lunch and you have, human saliva, or maybe, you were petting your dog and let your dog, mess around with you before you got out on the boat, you can use, like, aerosol oil scents to protect and seal those, or conceal those scents from fish, and then use water soluble scents on top of that as an offense, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And, something that we always say, when we get out in the water, we try to dip our hands in the water. You try to clean those hands, with something that they're in and their medium, their body of water, that's just going to make you less likely to be able to give off your scent on the baits that you're touching and putting on.
Yeah.
But that's a good place to start, if
sure.
you're trying to avoid other scents. Not too many are out there that they say you should avoid due to the science behind it. That's just not there, that Corbin and I have found at this point, but I'm sure there's stuff out there that you should be trying to avoid. I would say that we just haven't done enough research on that at this point.
Right.
Johnny Bennett wants to know, what about cigars? Because I'm very well. Probably an attractant, to be completely honest.
I would think. No,
the bass hooked on nicotine.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that Sam and I have done, because we talk about water solubility a lot. One thing that we've done, which, who knows if it really, really makes a difference, but if you're totally consumed with the science like we are, you want to avoid human-derived scents that are water soluble. We fish with gloves, right? We fish with fishing gloves, sun gloves, stuff like that. We stopped washing them with detergent because detergent is water soluble. Soap and all that stuff is water soluble. And we want to avoid any type of contamination onto a bait. And so that's what Sam said. I mean, when we'll wash our hands off just in the lake water, and when we wash our gloves, we'll just hot water, and that's it. We avoid detergent and stuff like that just for that little extra bite or something like that.
So let's switch gears a little bit. Can't believe we're at 54 minutes already. This could be a show that goes for hours.
Oh, it could be, yeah.
We're not. You guys have 22 other videos. We got to have you back to start.
Through
a lot
absolutely
of things. And I'll have my internet figured out then. But what was I going to ask you? Oh, let's shift gears a little bit, because did you guys talk about distance that bass can see based on the turbidity of the water? And
we have done some of that.
Okay. Let's circle back around to that. Did you guys take a deep dive on it? If you did, we can go to a different topic, but
no, we didn't.
I thought it was fast. There's not a lot. You hear a lot about taste and scent, but what you guys talked about when it comes to how far a bass can see is something I haven't heard before. So break that out for us. Break that down.
There was only a little bit of science on this, really. I looked into the turbidity side of it some, and one of the main, rules of thumb that I was able to derive from the research was trying to figure out your water clarity first.
Mm-hmm.
Once you figure out your water clarity, then you can kind of derive at what area, you should, trying to be fishing in, and then, at what colors, you should try to be using based on clarity of water. Sight it can be such a challenging thing because that really all depends on where they're at in the water column, where they're at with the turbidity levels in the water. That can vary a lot, but we have no doubt in our mind that, fish can see out 50 feet, in front of them, 100 feet in front of them, like live sonar, you're looking at them that far away. They have a chance to be able to see you type of thing.
Yeah.
But, like we kind of like talking about turbidity, we looked at more along the lines of like where you should be looking to fish in terms of turbid water. So if you're dropping a white spinnerbait in the water and you can see it 2 foot down, you can really multiply that by 5. And, if you don't know exactly where there are, you should try to stay in about 10 foot lesser water, in terms of like that kind of stuff, because that's where bass are typically going to reside based on, ecological systems that they're in. In terms of eyesight, that can be challenged a little bit more, because when they're in super turbid waters, you might look to throw different things at them. But length of sight, is, pretty broad out there. I feel like you can find some numbers, but I feel like that's all super variable.
Sure. Now, in the video I listened to, and now, granted, it was your first video, and I'm sure you've come across a variety of other studies, and maybe you've even honed in your answer a bit.
Yeah.
But you were talking about the vision being really great straight on.
Yes.
But not great in the periphery.
Right.
Do you still hold that as a?
Yeah, so it's like where their eyes can see.
Yeah,
this is crazy.
Crosses and
there's definitely a lot of truth to that. But we actually just went over an episode not too long ago about water reflectivity on the surface and in clear waters. It's actually insane what a bass can see. Like they have the ability to look on the opposite side of a tree that's in front of them based on how their reflection is bouncing off the top of the water as a mirror. Yeah, like
time bending.
Exactly right. No, you're exactly right, because it depends. Clear, flat, calm waters. That's why it gets so challenging.
You can see
because their vision gets so good, and everyone knows that. Like waves help you fish, but really, why is it? It's because of their vision. But why on their vision? It's because of the reflectivity off the top of the water.
Yeah, Sam, what was that principle called?
It's called
it was episode 20.
Snell's theory.
Snell's theory.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an old theory, not a new thing. It is studied both in freshwater and saltwater fish.
Incredible. Once a fish gets out to, it's like 47 degrees each way, based on like looking out in front of it towards the surface of the water.
Yeah.
Based on the depth of that they are, it'll eventually hit a point to where they can no longer see above the water, and that water's clean, flat, calm enough, or even with slight waves, they can still see reflectivity. It actually is a mirror, and they start looking below them. So really incredible. Like bass eyesight is awesome.
They can see into the kayak, the lures I'm tying on before.
I mean, if you're right above them, you better be careful.
We have 100 live right now.
Oh, nice.
Done so. Hit that like button. Also, head over to Science of the Strike on YouTube, and you guys are like underrated, like wildly underrated. How you only have like 678 subscribers blows my mind. If you keep on doing what you're doing, I guarantee you that will grow faster and faster. So keep up the great work. Head over there, give them a sub, folks, if you haven't done so yet. 22 other videos that take deep dives like this from a scientific point of view. Now,
this is like just barely scratching the surface.
Oh, yeah, we're like,
they're dumbing it down for us. They're not using big words for you and I here.
Yeah.
Two things here. Now let's go back to lures real fast, because when you guys discovered this information about red lures specifically, you guys were like, I don't know how long ago that video when you shot it.
Yeah,
it was a while ago. It was at the beginning of a season, and you're both like, I don't have enough red lures in my box. I don't have enough red trailers in my box. I need to go buy more red chatterbaits. And so my question, as I'm driving from Gunnersville this morning on a 12-hour drive, was, I wonder if they tested it, and if they did, if they actually saw a noticeable result.
Yeah, that's a fantastic question. So we shot that video. Our first episode, I think, was shot in around the new year, somewhere November, December ish of what would have been 2023. 4.
Yeah.
And so we fished the whole 2025 season. So it's just been, a year that we did that. And I know that I can speak unequivocally for both of us. Absolutely. We have added stuff, changed stuff, and absolutely we can tell a difference. One of the biggest things, not only have we grabbed on to tackle that is, more red in nature, throwing a red spinner bait, right? Like people, I don't know why that makes people uncomfortable. Or Sam's got, I don't have one yet. They're kind of hard to find. Sam's got this limited edition Vision 110. The whole thing is bright fire engine cherry red.
It's the maca head.
Except
and it has a little green head. And
little tiny green head,
red body,
and he catches fish on it 365 days a year. The water
I will
could
not take that thing off.
82 degrees in the summer, and he can be catching fish on that thing. But where we actually apply it the most is, the red markers. I mean, between a red and a pink marker sitting up front of both of our boats. I mean, we are marking stuff. There hardly aren't many baits that we don't put out there. The other
paint nail polish on, to make the gills pop more. We've just really tried to be different, in that realm of
we've been using
bait making and bait designing, bait, however you want to call that. I don't
know if you can see this. Probably not.
See the orange. That's the Alabama crawl.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to show here that I guess my camera is not showing is maybe you can see a little bit of it is up here at the top. Whoa, my camera's freaking out. I've got this fancy camera that likes to float around randomly. What I was trying to show you all is that we've been fishing with Bait Pop a lot lately. And they have a red flake Bait Pop. And we have been using that. And that stuff stays on. And so we
way better than we expected.
Way better than we expected. And so you really can't see on the video, but we smear that all over the stuff, and it will stay on jig trailers and all that kind of stuff. So I guess long-winded answer of saying, we absolutely do use red, and it does make a difference.
So you also talked a whole lot about black and blue and black, and there's really no differentiation from a bass point of view when it comes to color. And also you guys talked about, hey, instead of doing the green pumpkins, in our mind, we're like, oh, this thing's got to match.
Yeah, right? It looks good, right? It looks
black
good.
And blue to white. It looks dumb to me, the human. However, I remember in that video, you're like, you know what? Maybe I need to start putting a green jig head on a white trailer or a red, or a white trailer. Just doing something with contrast within the baits. Yeah. Have you tested that, and what has been the result?
With our jigs mainly.
Yeah.
And we can speak to, having good success in tournaments around home, with that. Like most of the times if I have a green pumpkin jig, I'm not trying to pick up a green pumpkin trailer anymore.
Right.
Like I really will look to pick up possibly a red, or possibly a black, It doesn't, not that they can see black that well, but it's such a good contrast for them, right? They can see that it's super dark. That green pumpkin, it might be a little bit brighter, so when the skirt is moving, and that trailer is sitting there, they see something different. It doesn't look like one just big ball, because we can't mimic a crawl like we wish we could. Like no bait maker is able to do that yet. That's the biggest, and Drew Gill talked to this a little bit on the show. Like that's the biggest hurdle that we have to jump through. So how can you make your crawl style baits stand out a little bit differently, right? And that's our goal, to be different there. So we have looked to try to bring contrast as much as we can into that. And it's been good for us, just trying to be different there.
For sure.
Yeah. Wyatt, real quick. Wyatt, you were most of the trophies and checks behind you have come from the jig, right? Is this something that you do?
I tie my jigs are brown rubber, green pumpkin skirt with red or an orange. Like the skirt material that I put in there is red, orange, or red, green, red, green, or red, orange, red.
There
orange.
you go.
A little section of red, little section of green, little section of red, little section.
And it's
of green,
contrast with colors they can see. Like that makes.
And then
total
the
sense.
trailers that I use are green pumpkin with purple flake in them.
Purple. Yeah.
There you go.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that does. The purple is, where it starts to stretch a little bit. The question becomes is like, does the purple look more pink or does it look more blue? Right? Because once you start getting to that more blue purple, it starts to fade on you and starts to become a little bit more grayish, right? Where if you start to fade the purple towards more of the pink side of things, they can probably pick that up a little bit better. So, we've learned so much science on this stuff. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So what color jig should I be throwing?
Yeah.
Well,
seems like you're doing something right
green,
over there.
Green, pumpkin, and black.
Yeah.
Another total shameless plug here with Outcast, but we just sent off the proofs for colors on our jigs that we're designing with them, and I'll tell you what, people are going to see it and they're going to say they might be a little uncomfortable, and they might go, why this, why that, but we're telling you, they're derived off of what the science tells us, and we're super pumped about high contrast jigs and a variety of different, head styles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That the science supports.
You're making a believer
find it here.
out of me. Oh, real quick. The reason you guys were even on the show is because of Steven Sturgeon. He reached out and be like, "Hey, you need to go check these guys out." And I was like, "Sure." And I wrote you guys, and then it took a minute, and now it makes sense because you're a dentist and an attorney, so you guys don't not live busy lives.
My goodness!
But we finally got you guys nailed down, and so Steven, as a listener and longtime
Appreciate
supporter,
Yeah,
thank
no
you
kidding.
so much. I'm enjoying this like wild. Someone's asking, when's the drop?
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that color.
Love it.
That's great, man. That's great.
Send us a few of those strands.
Yeah.
I'll collab with Outcast if you need a jig.
Yeah, exactly.
So, a question from Bass AF.
Yeah,
He's
a little bit of
asking,
red in there.
when's the drop of those?
Yeah, that's a good question. We're probably a ways out because we're fortunate enough. We started designing the one with them, and we've been using feedback that we've gotten from our viewers, who we've asked for feedback and design ideas and stuff like that. We were designing just the one, and then Outcast came and said, we actually want to do a whole line. And so we're doing a Science of the Strike line with them. And so we're probably looking at, anywhere from 18-ish months probably from now. So it's probably going to be a while because we're still.
It's incredible how long it takes for this stuff.
It's nuts.
Because we're trying to design everything.
ICAST 2027.
Yeah. No, seriously. Honestly, here's the thing about the jigs, and I won't go too deep into it. This is an Outcast jig right here, one that they already make. We're looking into not just the science of colors. We're looking into the science of the rubber. We're looking into the science of the hook angle, the hook barb, the line tie. We're looking into all of that stuff.
Yeah.
The physics, the mechanical physics behind it. Yeah,
I love it, man.
It's a lot. We're trying to go deep dive on it with them, and we're pumped, man. It's they've been awesome.
You guys are animals. I freaking love it. No,
we're nerds, is what we are.
We're nerds.
From Jared Booth. Why the boom of crystal clear baits I've been seeing? Have you guys been seeing that trend?
Just like transparent plastic?
I think so. I think it's what he's saying. Maybe some flashy glitter in there. And also talk about the color we haven't talked about yet with this kind of like flash. So walk us through the science of that. You guys talked about it.
Reflectivity.
Yep.
Yeah. Crystal clear is a tough one. I don't know if I've seen that too much around us. Can't speak for Corbin necessarily, but I'm sure it's just something. Well, I never want to say I'm sure, but it most likely tends to, lead you to thinking more along the lines of it's maybe hard for them to pick up necessarily against, top of the water or something, and it makes them curious. You're ticking something in their brain that makes them be like, oh, I can't pin that down. It's not super dark. It's not super clear for me to see. It's more of a just, oh, what is that kind of reaction type of thing? Bite, it might look like something that they're eating in the water, depending on the forage that they're going after. It probably looks more forage related. Corbin and I would tend to probably believe there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, reflectivity is a huge thing. I could probably let Corbin talk a little bit on that. A lot of it comes to the sun. So
yeah. And we did a little bit of this actually on the turbidity episode as well. And I think the big takeaway about reflectivity is, and we're not the first people to talk about this. Flash is people, have tried to look into this. But what you have to remember is that flash is only so good as the sun's, the sun being out and the water being conducive of reflectivity, right? If you have turbid enough waters, even on a sunny day, the light is not penetrating into the water enough to create a reflectivity. And so one thing that Sam and I have done is we've actually spent some money on purchasing spinnerbaits that have painted blades, because if you are fishing a spinnerbait on an overcast day or in turbid water, there's no point in, because you're not getting a flash off.
It's just gray.
It's just gray.
Yeah.
And the same is to be said about like another real popular one on this is like a jerk bait, right? So Sam and I will actually, most of the time, we're throwing matte jerk baits for that reason, unless we have a real bluebird, sky day, and we have some wind too that can kind of help cause that bait to glimmer with the shine. But
that
again,
denser, darker color makes a difference.
It does,
than that light gray that may look, as reflectivity if we don't have that sun. So that's why we tend to lean that way.
Yeah.
Wyatt, any questions over there that need answered?
I mean, it all kind of came to me. I was talking to somebody yesterday about top waters and things like that, and the guy was asking me about the colors of the top water between bone and sexy shad and black, and I'm like, hold the lure up to the sun and the fish can't, that you can't tell what color, if it's white or light yellow or anything like that. But then they were saying that fish can kind of see on top of it. I'm like, can fish really tell what's on top of my top water? Or are they just seeing the bottom of it and everything is kind of a silhouette against the sun?
Yeah, Sam will be able. So I can say, I think with confidence that no living being could be in the water and can see like the top side of a boat from the bottom, like that physically.
All these companies put so much money in painting the top of their top waters
for you to buy.
Correct. It's exactly for you to buy. And you'll notice, very interesting, you go down the frog aisle, right?
Yeah.
At any store. Which side is facing out?
White, yellow, or black?
The top side is facing out, not the bottom side.
And you're looking at yellow and white, and what are those? Probably the same thing.
Right. Right. But Sam can talk to this, because back again with this Snell's window thing creates a really interesting discussion with topwater.
Yeah. So there's a window in which they can see, right, based on how deep they are in the water, based on the degree angle.
It's a cone.
That's a cone that comes out from their eyes, right? So you have to have that top water up in that vicinity for them to recognize that bait. They may feel a disturbance hit the water or something a ways away from them, but for them to truly see it has to be within this cone. And if you're throwing top water for shallow fish, it's probably gonna have to be pretty centered, over their head, right? Yeah. And when you're over top of them like that, and you twitch that bait and it rolls, they could potentially see what's on the side of that bait a little bit. Yeah. If you have a hard contrast line. But if your bait is very high riding, like I know like some of the twitching walking style baits will sink their butt in the water a little bit more, that could play and that could have a factor in a lot of senses. Yep. Like you might have a different shade or color on the back end of the bait. That could make a difference there. But if you're throwing like a head-on spook that rides very high in the water column, you're a lot less likely to see something about it. Or you're throwing a whopper plopper, that's just dragging straight and not rolling as much, probably a lot less likely to notice that. That all depends on waves when you're throwing it. A lot of times you're probably not throwing a top water in heavy waves, but those, once they get more waves, reflectivity can actually bend the light a little bit more. And there's a chance, but probably not, in terms of the science, doesn't matter that much.
Yeah.
Freaking love it. Guys, real quick. We are 100. We're at 100 live. If you have not done so, hit that like button. Head over to Science of the Strike. The only way I'm going to get them back on the show if they see a pop in their subs. So head over there, like their freaking page.
I think they've gone from
wildly underrated.
I think they were like 940 whenever we started, 950 whenever we started, and they're like 990 now.
There we go. Come on.
Nice. Heck
or
yeah.
Not, 640. Sitting now they're 640, 690.
Heck yeah.
Freaking love it.
Good stuff.
So
690.
we're gonna land this plane. They usually land it around an hour and a half. So I'm going to be sensitive to you guys' time. In your video, you talked about small fish and large fish and their sight. And you were talking about essentially the small ones they don't have really great eyesight compared to the larger ones because they have larger eyeballs. And then you also talked about a theory around how those eyes will in dusk and sunset and
Yep.
compared to the bait fish and how fast that will kind of hone in for them. So
yeah.
I'm being cryptic for a reason because I don't want to like give away the answer in the question, but you guys know what I'm talking about, so take it away.
Yeah. No, this is super interesting. So, you could be your first day holding a fishing rod in your hand. You could know nothing about fishing, period. And if someone came up to you, you come up to someone at the bus stop and you say, "Hey, what's the best time of the day to fish?"
Yep.
What are they going to say? Well, they're going to say, "Well, it's either the morning or the evening, dusk or dawn," right? And that answer is universal across the industry for people who don't know and do know. But why? Why is that the case? What you just asked gets at that. And the reason behind it is because different fish have of different size. Say, let's compare a largemouth bass to say like a threadfin shad. Have different size of eyes. And so what that means is that their ability to absorb those light rays, like we talked about earlier, is better. A larger eye is more able to absorb light than a smaller eye. A great example of this is, you look at some of these, nocturnal monkeys that live in the jungle,
or an owl,
or an owl that have these massive eyes because they're able to see, absorb light better.
Yeah.
Same is true with aquatic animals.
Yeah.
And so,
Corbin, real fast, it's just like your iPhone. There's a reason there's 3 lenses on there.
Well, it's exactly
more
right.
light and making your photos look crisp and excellent. Keep going.
There you go. That's exactly
True.
right. Different camera lenses. It's the whole thing. That's just, and so what happens is when the sun is rising, say in a given morning, a largemouth bass is more capable of seeing and hunting in the lower light level than those prey fish. They can't. They're still in the dark, right? And so that's why bass will use those windows of low light because they understand that they can hide better, like a submarine, in dark water.
They have the advantage.
They know that they have the advantage. That's why they hide underneath boat docks, and even in cold water, you will still find fish hugging shade lines for that reason. Because they know that they have the advantage.
Yeah. And part of the research that I did that, also adds on to what Corbin just said, it's the ability of the bass to adapt to the light conditions. Their eyes adapt at a much faster rate than most of the bait fish that they are targeting. So when the light goes from, cloudy to bright sunlight to cloudy, and their eyes are having to adjust in that water, the bass can actually adjust much faster. And with those bigger eyes early in the morning, as that light is starting to grow and grow and grow, their eyes are adjusting, taking in more light, where those bait fish just aren't able to do that at that point yet because their eyes are so small. Their eyes are taking longer to adjust.
Yep.
Bam.
Absolutely.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, it's just wild. It's
I
wild.
also mentioned that that's why it's a lot harder to catch a larger fish versus a
exactly
guy.
right.
Do you still hold that?
Yes.
Right,
very much, very, very much so. Because with the vision being the most keen sense of a bass, that's the one they rely on the most. If they're able to take in more light and visualize your bait better, there's a less likely chance that they will eat that bait because they can notice something is off with it. That's why the minnow has become so good. That's why the rolling minnows have become even better. And that's why the, Yamamoto hinge minnow and the Sakamata shads have become the premier, minnow on the market because they can mimic that so well and they get those larger fish to eat. And a lot of times those larger fish are not wanting to eat because they can identify what's going on better because of their eyes.
Yeah.
Do you see that on FFS? Like, do you see the big ones come up and nose it and then look at it and take
they
off.
just follow
Oh,
so
yeah.
much longer. They analyze everything so much more. And I bet, a lot of people listening to this can speak to that. Like if you've ever watched on live sonar, the larger fish don't tend to scream up at your bait and
Yep.
attack it near like, the smaller ones will. And it's just incredible. It's all in their eyesight.
Oh yeah, it's eyesight, and we could talk to you through
yeah.
20 episodes of this. Why
Yeah.
bigger fish are smarter? I mean,
Yeah.
the
And
way
that's
that
why
they
we
bite,
use scent so
the way,
much.
Yeah, yeah. It's one more thing that you use to your advantage. It's one more. It's one more thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, it's so funny. I do polls on my YouTube channel all the time, and one of the polls was, do you believe in scents? It's like a 50-50 split. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people out there that say absolutely not, and there's other people like, yeah, 1,000%. And then you got people who are like, oh, I only believe it in water temperatures under 50 degrees. And so hearing you guys talk about it is fascinating, which actually pings a question to me, because you say you use a marker. That's obviously a negative sense. What type of marker are you using? I'm probably not a Sharpie, because we all know
the scent pens, right? The
stinks.
spike it pens.
Yeah,
Spike it pens?
we use spike it pins.
Yeah.
And what we use probably most commonly, and we don't use it for a scent thing. It's just because the spike it pins come scented. We use most commonly the garlic one, which there is data to support that garlic contains a molecule in it that does trigger a bass's olfactory system and taste buds in a positive way.
Yeah.
You just can't. It's hard to find it in a water soluble form. But yeah, I mean, to your guys who are scent deniers, like, everybody's got to do what they got to do. But dude, the science
the
is
non-believers.
it's objective. It's not like we think scent works. We think that scent, they can taste it. No, like it's the data is undisputable. And after vision, scent is their next strongest capability. I mean, you go check out our episode on it. I mean,
I'm
it's
just gonna have you on again. That's
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do.
Here's
do
what I'll
it.
say about garlic real fast. It's the citrate ions that are within garlic that can make the difference.
Yeah.
But citrate ions alone are not usually enough to enhance a bait to make a fish want to hold on. Citrate ions can be a great adjunct to the scents that you're already using and can actually enhance those. So garlic alone, a lot of times I won't lean on, but if I'm using bait pop or bait fuel, nori's, gulp, any of these water soluble scents, and you put a mark on the side of them that is garlic, it could potentially enhance that scent you're using. So that's getting real nitty gritty. That's giving out some of the good stuff. But
You're using words I've never heard before in my entire life.
so
I gotta watch the show over again and go to ChatGPT just to figure out what you guys
when Corbin and I are trying to ink a deal with some major manufacturers in the scent world, and one of the big things is that citrate ion that is so misunderstood a lot of times, and we are going to try to do something really
make
cool.
it happen. Yeah.
My gosh, you guys are animals. You really are.
We're just nerds.
I've done 133 episodes, and I will say without a shadow of a doubt, even though I wasn't even here for 20 minutes of it, this is you were some of my favorite guests. This is my favorite show.
Well, shoot.
I appreciate that.
I've never said that before.
Wow. Well, that means a lot,
years.
man. That means a lot. We have a
We
blast
put in,
doing this.
yeah, we love it.
You
We
know,
put in the work, and we try to bring our best stuff every day.
How long does it take you in research? Because you got 22 videos, whatever you said you started 2 years ago. So how many hours per video are you looking at? Just obviously it's going to range, but
yeah,
what do you
It
got?
used to be a lot more. I would say we've narrowed down our abilities to know a lot faster.
gotten better.
Looking
You're
at all the
building it
research,
on what
right?
you've known as well, so it makes
Right.
it easier.
That's
Right.
true.
But
I mean, when we started, we were spending for an episode, anywhere from, I don't know.
5 to 10 hours of
Yeah.
research.
Yeah. I mean, it was
Each.
just, and you're just
We'd
reading.
bring our- Yeah, it's a lot of reading.
It's a lot of reading. It's a lot of reading, and
and that's after we get home from work.
Yeah.
We're just like, God, why are we doing this? But we just ended up loving it so much. We kept up with it.
all of our videos we shoot like we are right now, like in the evenings. Like we just can't We don't do it during the daytime, So a lot of our episodes are like tonight, when in reality, you can listen to it in the morning.
Oh my gosh. Well, Wyatt, what do you got? Any questions? Anything you've been sitting on there? Any personal questions yourself?
No, I say I'm going to be watching a lot more of the videos, and I'm going to be spike it penning all of my Max.
There you go.
He's got to collect more trophies this year.
I'm going to be using that color a lot more.
Dude, that's
send us your pictures of you holding them trophies. We'd appreciate that.
I literally have probably 50 more questions, but I can't ask them. But we're going to have you guys back.
Yeah. We'd love to be back, man. This has been a blast.
We're at an hour and a half, and I literally, if I keep going, then I know I just won't stop. And so, and I've been up since 4 a.m. So I got to get to bed. I'd like you guys to get to bed. But what we at, Wyatt? What's there? We can't get off until they're over 700.
Oh, they did hit 700.
Oh heck yeah! Let's go.
So 701.
Appreciate you, chat.
Yep, 701.
I love it.
Well, Corbin, Sam, appreciate you guys, and we'll get you back on. Special thanks to KFast, sponsor of the show. Make sure you go get certified at kfast.co. Head over to Science of the Strike. Are you guys? Last question. You kind of teased it a little bit. You're hoping to ink some deals with some scent stuff. You got some jig stuff going on. What can we expect from Science of the Strike in the rest of this year?
Yeah, that's a great question, man. Yeah, we've got some really cool collabs that we're teeing up. We're working with Outcasts and continuing to develop stuff. Like Sam said, we're working on inking a deal with. We've already communicated with them. We just are in the final stages of closing the deal with the good guys at Zero Trace. Go check them out. Super cool, scientifically backed soft plastics. We have got some super cool merch that we're working on right now. We had Beanie Wolf design. He does the designs for DRT and all those guys. He designed some merch for us that we're working on getting on hats, hoodies, and stuff like that. We just did a little collaboration that you're going to be you'll see dropping tomorrow. We're helping out with Tackle Shack Texas did a deal with Working Class Zero on a bait that they used the science of color derived off of our video to create. So we're excited to see those come out on the Citizen. And like Sam said, I think the biggest thing that we don't want to put anything out there because nothing's been solidified yet, but we're working on cutting a deal with we're in talks with a scent deal that we're really excited about. So be on the lookout for stuff like that. But yeah, we just appreciate everybody. We've been having a blast. We appreciate you guys having us on. Everybody who's been listening. Number one way to support us, go watch our stuff. We got merch up on the channel. Sam's wearing a hoodie right now. That's how we pay for our subscription, our editing subscriptions and stuff like that. And so that's the number one way to help us out.
We haven't made a dime off this thing.
Yeah,
love it. We just love it.
You're not going to for a while.
Yeah, we didn't think so. We didn't think so. But no, we're having a blast. We got some cool stuff coming out. We'll be sure to update. You might see us at ICAST 2026. We'll see. We'll see if
I will see you there. Come
okay,
on.
yeah. If my trial goes away, that's scheduled for that week, then I might be there. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well, guys, my gosh, I don't want to end, but all good things that come to an end. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you next Tuesday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. You guys have a good one. See ya.
See you guys.
Yep.